What's up, everybody? Kale with the TNT boys here. Just want to get on here and say that this one was recorded on a phone audio. No one thought it'd be a good idea to tell me that the laptop died during the process of recording this. So, apologize for that. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Yeah, enjoy.
How's it going, everyone? This is Sam and Daniel coming at you.
Not the milkman. Wait.
Not the milkman.
Not the milkman.
But anyway, we are your TNT boys for this week's episode. Kale is taking a break from this one. It's going to be me and Daniel. We're going to be having more of like a bodybuilding, powerlifting, fitness related episode.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about that muscle stuff.
Those who don't know, Daniel's actually one of my powerlifting clients. And we just recently started talking again about what we want to do for this next training block.
Yeah, that's my coach.
That's exciting. Obviously, I can't do much on the training side of things right now, but that's okay. I got 4 weeks left of this 10-pound bullshit.
Yeah, you have an inguinal hernia?
Inguinal hernia, yes, they all know.
I was sitting there trying to memorize that after you told me inguinal hernia. Yep. I was sitting there going, inguinal.
I'll say this. The recovery has gone great through the first 2 weeks.
Praise God.
My pain is virtually non-existent at this point. There is still some soreness and tenderness, some slight swelling. The swelling has gone down a bunch though. And
that's what's up.
And a little discomfort yet, but the glue on the incision is starting to kind of peel off, so that's good. That's looking really good. I have my follow-up appointment this Monday, so I'm gonna see if he'll let me do like the bare minimum in terms of exercise. We'll see.
Yeah, like loading my 45-pound plates.
See, I don't know. It'll probably still be like a 10 or maybe 20-pound limit. I don't know, okay. but it'll be a lot of like machine upper body stuff. Probably to start.
That'll be good though. That'll be good for you. I know
better than nothing.
I know what it's like to be down and out. You know, at one point in my life, I actually was completely within a leg cast, so I really couldn't move around at all for weeks on end. I'd have to be in a wheelchair, and so being out of the wheelchair after the months that I was in it, yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's not fun being injured and not being able to do what you normally do.
Right.
I miss lifting so much, and I already can't wait to when I can finally start powerlifting again. And I still got some goals to accomplish and some records to break.
He's over here like specific muscle training. He's like wrist flexing.
Even my one of my other powerlifting clients, Sam Sullivan, he said he still wants to see me hit a 700-pound squat.
The beast.
So I'm already close. My max is 660, so we're gonna get there someday. But anyway, Daniel, your brother,
my brother,
just recently had a bodybuilding competition.
Damian Hilton,
men's physique. Talk to us a little bit about that.
So, I mean, you're opening up a whole can of worms to ask me to talk about anything that's even slightly bodybuilding related. You and I both know that I could sit here and talk volumes about the sport, about the industry, about the methodology, about the physiology. Yep. We could go on. But in short, men's physique is a style of bodybuilding contest, if you want to call it a division of bodybuilding, where the men will dress down into a board shorts category. So my brother's not up there in one of those tingly little, teeny tinies. Yeah. He's actually in what looks more like a swimsuit for men.
Right, yeah. Swimming trunks.
And he's still being judged on the same basic tenets as what any bodybuilding contest would be. It has to be based on his musculature, based on his vigor.
Symmetry.
Right. Based on
conditioning, leanness,
whether or not he's able to pose correctly.
Yep.
And actually, that particular contest, unlike other contests, did allow each participant the opportunity to provide a freestyle routine if they cared to. Not all the participants did so, but they were given the opportunity to do a freestyle routine if they wanted
Did your brother do a freestyle?
He did. My brother
Nice.
is very serious about wanting to step up in the physique side and to get a men's physique pro card.
Nice. So how did your brother do in this competition?
Way better than I could have ever given a debut person credit for, honestly, because I didn't know my brother's level of leanness. I didn't know my brother's level of conditioning. I worried about my brother's confidence in said sport of bodybuilding because it's not an easy thing to get on a stage and flex your muscles for literal minutes straight. Minutes.
Right. No, it's I'll not to cut you off.
No,
but
not at all. Go ahead.
It's a very it's very hard to just get up there and compete in general and pose in front of a bunch of people, in front of judges that are there to tell you whether you look better or worse than the person standing next to you.
Right, and I would say maybe that's the most negative ideal of bodybuilding contests and physique shows in general, is the fact that basically you're starving yourself and getting yourself into the best conditioning of your life just to be objectively scrutinized by some random human being who sometimes doesn't even have the qualifications to give you accurate feedback on how to improve.
Exactly. No, yeah, that's why when I first really got into lifting, after high school, when I was done playing football and lifting became my life, bodybuilding was my first love, physique especially, because I was not the biggest guy, but I was really lean and really ripped and shredded. And I was like, that's what I wanted to do initially, but then as I kept going and put on size and got stronger, I obviously eventually got into powerlifting. I'm not ruling out bodybuilding in the future. I'm not ruling it out, but right now that's not my focus. But objectively speaking, looking at it from a viewer's perspective and even from my own perspective, to me, powerlifting is more like an actual sport where you push your body to do, to the limits physically. Whereas bodybuilding is honestly more mental, and it's more of honestly, and I think I've maybe even heard you say this, it's really more of a pageant, a beauty pageant almost.
Right.
Because you're standing on stage and posing rather than pushing your body physically to do something, lifting a lot of weight, or in other sports like football, running the ball, tackling, or, shooting a basket or whatever, doing something physically, athletically than just posing.
Right. And I get where that is a point where it muddies the water of fitness, because bodybuilders are seen as these guys that are so big and strong looking, but in reality, they're not usually the bigger, stronger athlete.
No.
Sometimes it does come out that they're the bigger athlete, but that's because of it
depends if they're truly bodybuilding or if they're physique.
Right. That's because of the fact that they're biomechanically training themselves at an advantage of hypertrophy. And what hypertrophy is, in short, for those who don't know a lot of the technical speak, it just means muscle growth. Hypertrophy is muscle growth. Mm-hmm. Muscle size is the overall judge of the stimulus of hypertrophy. And so where I could make a good argument that I do see Sam's point of view that powerlifting is more of a lift specific sport where an athlete in that sport would have to do a specific thing, a specific way, on a specific kind of routine in order to achieve a goal, similar to other athletes like in sports such as football or basketball, track, things like that. Mm-hmm. There's specific metrics that have to be met. Bodybuilding does actually have a specific metric that other sports, including powerlifting in its own lifting right, doesn't include as often, even though some powerlifters do have a power building stance, so they do include this. But the hypertrophy aspect is actually developed from what's called time under tension, which means that the higher amount of intensity over the shorter amount of overall applied effort in one exercise is going to give you the highest hypertrophic,
yeah.
Thank you. hypertrophic, I know the words, I just don't know how to speak, hypertrophic reaction. And so what that means in simple terms is that you have to, in one exercise, train at a very intense and very specific range of training. And because it's like that, what you run into is you run into lactic acid overload where your muscles literally burn. And you have to be able to push through the burn of the lactic overload on the muscles in order to actually reach the desired hypertrophy a person would. So I do think there is an intensity and an athletic nature that has to be obtained in order to actually grow in bodybuilding or even physique style sport. That does include athletic intention. Now, do I believe it's as athletic as other lifting sports? No, I get that it's not lift specific.
Here's where I'm mostly getting at with that is bodybuilding. Everything you said is 100% correct. Bodybuilding, from a sport perspective, obviously the training style, yeah, they have to train like an athlete. Obviously, they're training for hypertrophy. They're training to build muscle, and they're training to get and they're optimizing their nutrition so they can also be as lean as possible. And they also have to practice their posing. It's a huge part of it. So yeah, the training regimen is probably more intense than any other athlete, honestly, because it's a lifestyle.
Right.
Because they have to train, they have to eat right, they have to practice their posing, they got to do their cardio, they got to do all these things. Whereas like football or powerlifting, whatever other sport, they do their workout, they go to their practice. You know, football will also have, you know, they'll have to do like their lifting, but the nutrition is not as important in some of these other sports. Yeah, it's important because you want to make sure you're eating enough calories to sustain, to support all the activity you're doing. But bodybuilders have to eat a specific amount of calories and specific types of foods, especially when they're in prep, so they don't, as you said in the past, spill over.
Right.
But in the off season, they have a little more flexibility there. But
sure,
I was just gonna say, I agree with you in the point that bodybuilding is a sport in like the training style. They obviously train like athletes, like I said.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's just more the actual sport itself when they're on stage, posing, doing all that. To me, it's not like a powerlifting meet. It's not like a football game. It's not like a track meet or whatever you want to call it. It's more honestly like a beauty pageant. Right. That's not a slight at bodybuilders, because I have a ton of respect for competitive bodybuilders.
Most certainly.
I don't know, like I feel like if I really wanted to and had the drive for it, I could do it. But man, like to starve myself just to go on stage and be objectified by someone I don't even know to tell me, "Oh, you look worse than that guy."
Yeah, and
I mean,
and the way it affects your psyche.
You know what you're going into though, you know.
Right. And the way it can affect your psyche, you remember just when I was basic cutting down to 150 pounds.
Oh, I remember you spitting into a bottle.
And the day
to try to make your in-body read out better.
And the day that I came in to try to weigh in at 150, and I came in at 150 point, I think it was like 9 or 6 or something.
Yeah.
It was like I was just slightly above it. I was still proud of it, but that day I felt so done. And
you were probably just starving, dehydrated.
I was dehydrated.
Everything.
I was hungry. I was literally hadn't slept well, stayed up all night working, but I wanted to hit that goal, that weight goal. And in bodybuilding, it's like that, but it's even more intense.
Yeah.
The intensity that it takes, that it creates even a neuroticism in the athletes of bodybuilding, where they feel like they have to eat a certain way, they have to sleep a certain way, they have to train a certain way, they have to be a certain way.
Well, you also have to look at, you know, a lot of, especially with strength sports, bodybuilding, powerlifting, strongman, you got to look at the performance enhancing drug side of it. And like a lot of these high level bodybuilders, I don't care if they claim natural or not, they're using something of some sort of PED, and that can kind of like, it can help some of those sides of it. Like it can help your, like say if you're cutting, like say if you're prepping, if you're using PEDs, that can kind of help you have a little bit more, I guess, leniency with the nutrition.
Right. It's
You
going to
don't have
create
to be
more of
quite
a
as
deficit.
strict, but
Yeah, it's going to create a
it's
larger
making it
deficit.
having a more negative impact on your vitals.
Right.
You know.
Well, it's putting more stress on your body.
Exactly. And then in the context of bulking, if they're in their off season, if they're on PEDs, it's going to keep them a little bit leaner when they're eating more calories.
Right. Well, and it really depends.
It also depends on the compound they're using. You know,
There
if
you
it's
go.
if
You
it's
took
a
the words
if-
right out of my mouth.
Yeah, if it's a dry compound, it's going to help them, you know, not put on as much bloat, water weight
Right.
with the muscle. But if it's a not a dry one, or if it's like more of like a water retaining one, they're
Yeah.
going to look maybe a little bit puffier.
Right.
And so it depends. That also depends with what they would take on bulking or cutting, obviously.
Right. Or something that would be supplemented with oil.
That too, yeah,
So,
yeah.
and you know, my honest opinion, I've touched on it in my debut episode, but really, I just wish people that wanted to be invested in that side of things realize that yes, I understand it's illegal. Yes, it's bad for you, but those aren't choices I get to make for other people. And if people would be more upfront and honest about the way they wanted to approach things, they would have the opportunity to learn vital lessons about those things in their life. Because unfortunately, there is a mass curiosity and use case for performance enhancement right now, especially the SARMs, selective androgen reception modules. And what that is oral steroids.
Yeah.
And I've had people come up to me and they've asked my opinion, because when I cut down, I don't look like it now, but when I cut down, I look like I'm in good shape, like I know fitness, like I know what I'm talking about. And I do. And when I've had athletes come to me and ask me, seriously, Daniel, I'm a D1 wrestler. I almost went to college championships, but I was thrown in a way that caused me to lose the match. Do you think using steroids would specifically help me to achieve my goal of becoming a better wrestler? And I said, can I ask you a personal question? And they said, yeah, sure. I said, number one, have you ever used steroids before? And they said, well, I tried SARMs. And I said, well, I'll tell you, it's sad, but the first time you use a androgen reception module enhancer, it changes your muscle physiology altogether. So your muscles do change. Unfortunate. But I don't find the research to defend the point that they stay continuously modified in a way where it gives you an unfair advantage, or that it makes it impossible for a natural person to outperform you. So, but that does need to be said. You will perform differently from the first time you use, from then on out, but I don't think that that's an inclined rate, and I don't think that that's a lasting impact. Just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah.
Number two,
well, you're right. You're right, because anyone who has used steroids or any sort of performance enhancer, even when you come off, your body retains some of that, especially if you post-cycle properly.
Well, because in order for it to do what it needs to do, your body actually has to adapt to the substance. It's the same thing with anything we put in our body.
Yeah.
Go Nebraska. He's holding up the Nebraska. So.
Kale's laying on the couch watching the Husker game. But yeah, continue.
And the second point, because I wanted to make sure that the person understood, if you've already gone down the dark road, you need to be honest about it, or shade your road. And then the second point is, if you're going to continue to use, what you need to ask yourself is, have you reached your natural limitations? Do you feel like the goal that you're trying to achieve is actually impossible for your physical limits? Because here's the problem. So many young athletes, so many bodybuilders, so many powerlifters, so many football stars, fill in the blank, athlete. They think that the only way that they could possibly compete against everybody else is if they were on something that gave them the edge. But unfortunately, steroids is like icing on a cake. It's not the cake. If you're not putting in the work, if you're not being consistent, If you haven't found natural limitations within your own literal programming, if you don't have a reason to think that you're naturally declining, why would you ever ice a cake that's not fully baked? You gotta ask
No,
yourself.
that's a perfect analogy, man. You put it perfectly. And I've been honest with all my friends, everyone I know, and I've said before on this podcast, the supplements I've used, and I've used certain oral anabolics in the past, not SARMs, but
Right.
probably better than SARMs.
I was
what I've
going to say
taken.
yours was a pro hormone, if I'm not wrong, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And some federations have approved that certain pro hormones are actually not disqualified. Or
Sure.
wrong.
Yeah.
So
And I've seen great results from what I've taken. I'm not on anything right now, obviously, because I can't even lift right now.
right.
But yeah, I think if anyone's on anything, they just need to be honest about it, and they need to know, like, they need to make sure they're doing it responsibly,
Correct.
doing the proper post cycle when they're done, taking a liver support
There you go.
because it has a big effect on your liver,
And getting your blood work done.
getting your blood work done, and then also making sure whatever federation or league that you're, look at that pass by Raiola. Anyway, whatever federation or league you're competing in, make sure like you're not breaking any rules. So like my federation, USPA, that I typically compete in, I typically compete untested because of the stuff I take. I'm not going to run that risk,
Right. Is your risk worth your reward? But some people don't genuinely care. The other analogy I would say is this is what it's like to put yourself on cycle and keep going. And I don't want to make this a steroid podcast.
No.
wanted-
we're gonna wrap up the steroid talk here pretty soon.
I wanted to hit the nail on the head for those people who are curious about enhancement and its role in different kinds of athletics, because like we said here, there is so much more to it than just use it and it makes you better, because it's hard on your
No.
system. It destroys
you
your liver.
have to have the right training, the training program, and you have to train hard. You have to eat properly or enough, depending on what your goal is, and your recovery, your hydration, everything else has to be on point before you even think about it.
Right. It's the icing. But the other idea that the picture in people's minds I want them to understand is taking a long bout, a huge cycle, a long cycle of steroids is like this. Take a brick, this is the proverbial brick, and stick it on the gas pedal of your body. It overproduces, it overperforms, it overtunes, it overworks. You're literally driving the car at full speed, literally constant, until you off cycle. Then that's you taking the brick off the gas. People think that just a short stint of it, or maybe if I just do it long enough, but then you see the results, and guess what? When you're going 120 down the highway and you get somewhere in half the time, you don't want to go 60 again.
Yeah.
And so it can be addictive and you can get stuck. So anyone out there that's there, man, reach out.
Yeah.
If you don't want to be in that lifestyle, get help. If that is your lifestyle, be smart.
Yeah.
I've seen many a great bodybuilder who ended up on the pages, man.
Yeah.
Name and print. So
All right, let's move on from the steroid talk. Daniel.
back to the physique contest, right?
Yeah, let's go back to that. Let's talk about your brother, how he did.
My brother doesn't use steroids, all right?
Oh yeah, no, I didn't think so. So
No, not at all. Sam was like trying to be nice. He's like, yeah, your brother strikes me like, he looks natural. And I'm like, I don't know whether that is...
it's a compliment. He doesn't look like someone who's used gear.
Right?
But he looks great. He looks great. He's lean, but he's not like overly big. You know what I mean?
Right? Isn't that every bodybuilder's dream though? Or
Yeah.
physique contest's dream is like for somebody to go, oh, man, you must be on the gear.
Yeah, no. Touchdown.
Touchdown, Nebraska Cornhuskers! Nebraska.
Yes. Yep.
Go
Nebraska just won a Emmett Johnson. Anyway, continue.
So, By the way, as you know, TNT podcast, this is actually a football podcast. We're just recording a side podcast based on interest.
Well, me and Kale said before, we talked about everything. So
yeah, this is.
Everyone knows I'm a trainer and a power lifter. We're gonna have our fitness episodes.
And we never did decide to add the S to the TNTs because that would be bad. But I'm a secretary, so. Anyway, yeah, the physique contest, you know, my brother chose the physique division because you're not going to be judged as critically for certain things, and you don't have to wear a Speedo. I mean, that's just uncomfortable for some guys.
I feel like, too, like, for a guy like him has a naturally skinnier build,
Yep.
it's a better starting federation.
Yep.
Because you're not judged quite as much on just pure size and men's physique.
Right.
It's more about conditioning, symmetry,
Yep.
things like that. You know, your abs.
That's right.
Everything like that. The small waist.
So for those that don't know, the 3 different separations specifically on the men's side are generally bodybuilding itself, which is like the full of it. As
open
big,
bodybuilding.
Yep, as big and as strong and as shredded as you can possibly look. And I do think even in bodybuilding, now over the past, well, I would say 10, 20 years, it's really been less about the symmetry and more about the size. But I do think that we are, thanks to some very name standout classic physiques, like what's his name with who just retired
C-Bum?
Thank you.
Chris Bumstead. Yeah.
I'm really bad with names. But I could see the guy in my head, but I couldn't think of the name.
Yeah.
But names like that.
Chris Bumstead.
Chris Bumstead.
He has a lisp, that's why.
Gotcha. Well, Chris, most definitely, hats off to him, brought bodybuilding symmetry and figure back into the big question mark. Back into the question mark area where I feel like the Giants,
for a while there, the mass monsters were taking over.
The mass monsters,
the Ronnie Colemans, the Jay Cutlers,
there
the Phil Heaths,
most certainly,
the Kai Greens, all those guys.
Right, and then we've got Dorian Yates. Let's not forget the great
barn door back Dorian Yates.
Yeah, that's right. And so we're not seeing the Giants really reign like they were, which I think is a good thing for bodybuilding in general. But as you start with bodybuilding, where you are going to be judged based on how big you are, still, regardless.
Yeah.
You have to be bigger than the guy next to you. Then you come down to classic physique. And my brother considered classic, but classic is all about being X-shaped. And I can't show you a good example because I am not X-shaped. I am shaped like a Y. I am like skinny, and then square. It's like twig, square. So I'm not very X-shaped at all.
I think if I were ever to consider competing in bodybuilding, I feel like classic would be what I'd want to go for as well.
Yeah.
The only thing is I don't...
Tapering your waist is hard.
I've never had the super tiny waist either.
That's why. The X shape comes from your waist coming in, and genetics is the only thing.
Well, it's the V tapered upper body, the tiny waist, and then the thick legs.
Yep.
Which is why I feel like honestly open would probably be better for me.
I agree. I think
but then I don't
could go size wise.
I still have to put on more size though. That's the only thing.
Right. But anyway, and then underneath classic, because like we were saying, classic is like the V taper and the big legs. It creates an X shape. But physique, it does look for the X, but it's not going to be the disqualifying factor. You don't have to be that shape of guy in order to do well. They're gonna look more.
They're not as strict with the legs because you're wearing board shorts.
And you know what's funny? I told my brother. I said, actually, in big time physique right now, in men's physique open want to make that claim the falsest thing some people say. Because what people think is that men's physique athletes compete in men's physique because they want to hide poor leg conditioning. So these dudes on the open portion of it,
I don't know if it's poor conditioning, just lack of size.
Right. They don't want to showcase the legs.
Yeah.
And these guys are coming now in the board shorts division in men's physique. they're going to come in with massive, shredded, veined legs because they aren't wearing this shorts because they want to downplay it.
Right.
Is what they're saying.
So I feel like it's changed a little bit because back in the day, men's physique, they wore like legit swimming trunks.
Right. And
that would hide their legs. But
right.
nowadays they wear like, they're almost like compression shorts, it looks like.
Right. Well, I think they're still board shorts. I could be wrong. I'd have to ask my brother to clarify exactly what.
Well, see, I've seen like men's physique competitors nowadays, they wear like, they look like compression shorts. Like they're not Speedos,
right.
but they're still like covering half the leg, but they're tight. So you can actually see the shape of the leg.
Gotcha.
But back in the day, they would wear like legit down to the knee swimming trunks.
Yeah, like swimming trunks or board
trunks. That cover your leg completely.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, what it was this trend caught on that these guys just were lazy bodybuilders. So it made a movement where these guys.
Well, to me, it was more just like the beach body. Like that beach body, that male model type physique.
That was the
like they're lean, they're shredded. You know, they like your typical shredded gym bro,
right?
That doesn't like to do legs, but just likes to do abs and upper body.
Yeah.
But they're not like the mass monsters that are 280, 300 pounds of just pure muscle.
Right, and I think some of these guys took it personally, like they were being called out. And so
the
objective has now actually transformed to where on these upper echelons, like once you get a pro card, you'll step on the stage with other pros who have just massive legs. Because they don't want to be defined as the guy who doesn't put in the legwork.
Right, and that's good. I'm glad to hear about that. One of my favorite bodybuilders that I've ever followed is a men's physique guy. He switched to classic for a while, but he's has most of his success in men's physique. Sadiq Hadzovic. I don't know if you've heard of him, but I used to be a huge fan of his. I followed all his stuff. I watched his YouTube videos, trained super hard, and always had like a super positive mindset about everything. I loved his stuff. But yeah, Sadiq Hadzovic, one of my favorite bodybuilders that I ever followed, and he's known for men's physique, but he's probably one of the bigger men's physique guys I've ever seen, other than obviously Chris Bumps. Well, Chris was
classic.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Chris was classic.
Right, but just that trend has brought open bodybuilding to a more classic physique figure, which is good because I think there were competitors that just were overlooked because when you stood them next to the monsters, it didn't matter if you were a Phil Heath, who was also still a monster.
And Phil Heath won a lot of Olympias, but he was also known for that GH gut.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, they called him the gift because he still had the tapered waist on him was ridiculous.
Right, yeah.
The balance, the symmetry of his abdomen is crazy good.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, most certainly there's a lot there. But my brother placed. So when you start, you get what's called debuting, and that means that you're going to get judged based on the fact that you've never been in a show before, and then you're going to be judged based on your division. So whatever you're particularly in, which is the group of guys that all decided to do physique and still fell within the same range of age, and I believe it's age.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last one was if you're willing to compete in the open, which means you will be compared across all the people who care to be compared within the contest. And that means regardless of age, regardless of size, regardless of any of it, you're going to potentially be put up against the best of the best. And my brother competed in all of them because he proclaimed he wanted to become a men's physique pro. He wanted to get a pro card.
That's awesome.
That is awesome. I didn't know that about my brother. I've never seen my brother take to lifting before. I've never seen my brother be overtly involved in something that was very dedicated athletic. I did respect him when he tried to be a sports athlete, but he also wanted to be successful in school, and it was a hard balance. And it's hard for most people.
So what are his plans moving forward?
But what happened was he placed second in his debut, behind the guy who got first, okay? And then he placed third in his division, and the guy who debuted and got first placed first in the division. And then he placed fourth in the Open out of 7 people. He placed fourth in the Open. And the guy who debuted and placed first took first and the pro card. So I've not seen that before. I've heard of that happening. That's very uncommon. Usually debuts do not come in.
So is it only who wins the Open gets a pro card?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes, you have to win the Open. And
So
that's not an easy. Anybody could compete in the Open.
When does Damien plan to compete again?
I think he said that he's planning on competing in another year.
So
he's going to go once a year.
So he's in the off season. He's trying to put some size on right now.
Yes, I would say most people who are competing in any physique sport are trying to put size on in the off season.
Yeah, for
Most
sure.
of the time.
Yeah, for sure. They call it. I mean,
For
some people
men.
call it bulking. Some people call it just off season. I actually prefer the off season bodybuilder look.
Yeah, no, everybody would. I based on the feedback you would get when people look at it, I think there's a confusion about the pageantry of bodybuilding. They're not getting in that kind of lean condition because they want to look good. Nobody, well, maybe some guys and girls, but I mean, most people are not going to find the muscularity and the vascularity of a bodybuilder to be attractive. But that's not the point. It's supposed to be judged. It's like you're supposed to be sculpting your body. That's why it's called bodybuilding.
Yeah.
And in order to judge the sculpture, it has to be at a certain level of leanness to see the work that's been done on the major and minor muscle groups. Mm-hmm. And that's why it is the way it is. It's because of definition, not because of attractiveness. And the off-season body actually is super attractive in my opinion. Like every bodybuilder that I've ever seen in their on-stage look is like, whoa, dude, that's jacked up. But then they put the weight on and they're like, whoa, that's a good looking body.
Yeah. I'm gonna counter that attractive part you just mentioned earlier because I always thought the whole thing behind bodybuilding was aesthetics, which is just another word for attractiveness. How does it look aesthetically? Is it pleasing to the eye?
In a way, I suppose. But I mean, I think when I'm looking at attraction, I'm saying like romantically, sexually.
Oh, okay. No, that's not what I was ever getting at.
Yeah, I was like thinking relationally.
No, I'm just thinking
think from the outside,
looking good as in like aesthetically pleasing
like
to the eye.
Yeah, like balanced or like welcoming. And I do think it's still that.
Because the whole thing behind a bodybuilding and physique is aesthetics.
Right. Well, just like I think the idea would be like looking like the statue of Apollos.
Like a Greek god.
Yeah. Or like Hercules might be another popular one that comes up. Something like that.
Like a superhero.
Yeah, for sure. And actually most actors go through some form of physique development training when they train for especially superhero roles.
Yeah.
Because that is the expected, and we could have a whole podcast about this poor part of our society, but I don't think our social norms should be expected to be.
And I should say, I am a huge fan of the bodybuilding training style and the lifestyle.
Most definitely.
I don't care to step on stage anytime soon.
I like the intensity of it.
Yeah, for sure.
There's something about leaving the gym without the ability to close your hands that, makes me feel like
that's why I power build, because it's powerlifting and bodybuilding, and I love it.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing to me. There's no better gym session than crushing some heavy deadlifts and then getting a sick back and bicep pump, just a fat back and bicep pump. That's my favorite gym session.
Gotcha. Yeah, and I would say to debate the semantics of things, we could sit here all night and really break down how we felt about things. But the reality is, scientifically speaking, there's just not enough research that can be done in the strength and physique sports at this point, because guess what? The funding isn't there to do a lot of research.
No.
And what research we have on certain things are very solid.
At the end of the day, if you're a strength athlete, no matter how successful you are at your sport, no one cares.
Right.
Everyone outside of it doesn't care.
Well,
and powerlifting doesn't matter.
And what it really sounds like in the end of the day is what works for you might not work for the guy next to you.
Right.
Even if science says this should be working. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like one of those age-old secrets where we have to learn ourselves. We have to get in touch with where we are, and we have to develop the parts of us that need developed. And it seems super vague and nuanced, but that's the reality of any kind of training, really. Willow, will you stop harassing Kale over there?
She wants cuddles and pets. Anyway,
Let me.
so let's move on a little bit. What are your
Sure.
current goals right now with your competitive training regimen?
Stop being a procrastinator. Get off whatever I'm on, and go back to the gym and hit it hard.
So we just talked yesterday,
Yeah.
and redid your whole split. We talked about your goals because you want to get back on the powerlifting regimen.
Yeah, they don't even know.
So
Sam.
what are your goals with powerlifting moving forward?
I'm so on fire, man. I was ready to go. Like, I was in the gym last week. I was crushing it. I was doing what do they call those? Where you go to your max limitation, and then you cut your set back, and then you cut your set back. I'm trying to remember what that's called.
Drop sets.
Drop sets.
Yeah.
So I was like drop setting to my maximum failure because I don't go to complete failure all the time. You know, they've actually proven in research that going to complete failure is actually bad if you do it all the time.
Oh yeah.
So
that should be common sense, but I'm surprised it's not.
Right. But every once in a while, I like to just find my limitation and push it again. So I did, and then I got really sick. So I was sick, and I was recovering from muscle soreness all over my body because I worked all the muscles, or the majority anyway. And I had to have pretty much 20-minute convincing sessions to just get up off my couch.
Yeah.
Like, it was pretty bad. But that's because I'm motivated, man. Seeing my brother be successful, it makes me want to come back into this powerlifting season. What I did was I gate kept what I love. I love bodybuilding. I've always loved bodybuilding since I ran into it originally when I started considering my training styles. I met Sam at the Y probably about 5 years ago. 6 years ago?
5 or 6 years ago.
5 or 6 years ago. And we went to a high intensity interval training class called YX3.
YX3.
Yeah, baby.
Yep.
I still got the shirt somewhere. I got to dig it out.
I still wear mine. Well, no way. Mine's different. Never mind.
Yeah, yours is a completely different shirt because you were one of the trainers, right?
Well, mine's different. It's actually from when I competed at Worlds.
Oh, okay.
They made me a shirt that kind of looks like the YX3 shirt, but it's
different.
It has a different saying on it.
It's because you were competing at Worlds.
Yeah.
That's awesome though. And so we were doing this high intensity interval training, and it reminded me of my love for gym training. And then when I looked in that direction, like, what kind of training is this? What I found was that I liked training intensely all the time. And what that boils down to is physique training in general. I mean, you could get
So Zach, if you're watching, YX3, it's exactly the type of training you did with me. Continue.
Yeah, I loved it, bro. I guess I wasn't supposed to be allowed to do it, but I was given the pass to do more than one YX3 class in a day. On occasions I would do 2 classes.
Well, yeah, that's the way we had it programmed, is you were able to do that.
And so I would on occasion do 2 classes, and I really enjoyed it. And I took some of my friends to it. One of my friends, his son went with me, and his son actually threw up everywhere. So that
I don't remember that.
Yeah, that's because you weren't the.
Oh, was Leah?
It was Leah. Yeah,
was it Leah?
It was Leah. She felt bad for him because he trained. You remember Joseph, Pat's son, the tall, blonde hair, blue eyes. He would come and squat with me from time to time.
Vaguely.
Yeah. So. Sam might not remember him clearly, but yeah, no, he really likes to push it, and he likes to compete with others. So he was trying to compete with me, but I've been training YX3 now for like 3 months.
Yeah.
And he tried to go full bore right out the gate, and like his second round, he was just done. I felt bad for him too, but he said he was fine. Strong kid, by the way. He squatted 225, even a couple years out of high school, still did 225 pretty solid. So
nice.
Good depth. Yeah, it was nice. But anyway, I fell in love with bodybuilding, and now to find out that my brother likes that too, it's great. It's gonna create
Well,
a
it's something you
fierce-
guys can bond over as brothers too.
Well, it's gonna become our sibling rivalry. He knows I'm older, and I'm gonna become better. Even though everyone tells me I just need to roll over and admit I'm not young. Um, he knows I'm not going to stop
No,
there.
I like your drive, man.
Yeah, and but the reality is, what I wanted to do was I wanted to gatekeep my bodybuilding dreams because of the fact that, in all reality, it takes a certain kind of tenacity to actually be a successful physique athlete.
Yeah.
If you don't have consistency in your training, if you don't have a certain level of commitment and drive in you, you will never place where you should in bodybuilding. You might take home a trophy. You might become your friend's idolized physique, but you know what? The reality is, if you're not driving like you should, if you're not committed like you should, and if you don't have the follow through, then you know yourself that you could be somebody that you never would imagine. And I feel that in me. But in order to get that, I need to unlock my powerlifting goals first. And my first goal was bench 225 for touch and go bench, and we did it. Actually, Sam's touch and go 225 with me because he's been my coach. And then we've also pause rep and press 225. That happens, but it's not consistent.
It's not consistent.
And it's never been done in contest. Every time I try to do 225 bench in contest, it fails. My next goal was 225 for a legal squat in powerlifting meet. And so unfortunate that this last powerlifting meet, what happened was, number one, I should have been training with the combo rack we were using in contest before the contest just to get used to it, because what I wasn't anticipating was the bar actually slides inside the combo rack. And the reason they call it a combo rack is because you can switch between the different things. You can turn it from a rack for squats into a bench for bench press, and then you can move the whole rack away and you can deadlift from the floor. So you can do all three lifts with just the combo rack. But anyway, the bar actually has some room to slide back and forth, and so it was uncomfortable. And when I went to actually squat down for my 225, I clipped the rack, and legally in powerlifting, you cannot touch the rack.
Yeah.
And once you touch the rack, the spotters have to spot you. So they had to take the weight. But psychologically speaking, and as far as muscularly, I felt confident that I would have not only sank my 225, I also would have successfully performed 225 squats. So I'm not... I don't feel bad, and I've done it outside of contest. There can be an argument about the fact that my squat is a little bit above 90, but I mean, for a guy with cerebral palsy, 225 on a bar alone is a very interesting feeling. I'll give it that.
Yeah.
And then the last one is a 315 deadlift. This is a dream that unfortunately I have to knuckle down on because it's not what I thought it was going to be. I used a trap bar when we first started training, and so what a trap bar deadlift is ours is actually called a hex bar because it's in the shape of a hexagon, and then there's handles on each side where you slide the weight on, and the handles come up. So you're actually not going as far down to grab onto the bar, and when you stand up with it, your range of motion is lower. It takes a lot of your lower back and your knees out of the maneuver, so you can lift a lot more weight. And I have multiple times, and even with Sam verifying, picked up 315 on a hex bar, but I want to do it on a standard bar. The problem is the standard bar puts me in a position where biomechanically my leverage puts a lot of excess pressure on my outer left hip, and that's where my cerebral palsy is weak. I have a weak lower back and I have weak outer hips as far as my cerebral palsy goes. So my knees give in. And as soon as I go to actually lever the deadlift on a conventional bar, I'll actually, it's the funniest thing you'll ever see probably outside of me running. I'll actually pick up the weight off the ground, then pause because I'll steady it, and then I'll literally go to lift it. And a lot of times I'll actually even just pretty much bar row it past my knee so that my knee doesn't even engage. And then I just stand up the rest of the way with it. But in this contest, I did 265, and unfortunately, I was way quick with it. So when I came up and I kind of locked it out, I actually started going back down. And so I got disqualified on my 265. It was unfortunate, but again, I felt super confident. So, Nebraska! Kale's waving his hat at me again. And but those are my goals. I want to get to 225 squat, 225 bench, and 315 deadlift because, well, I got the right coach to do it. And I think that it's an achievement that's worth achieving to say, all right, we got to the numbers we need. Now let's get back to what we love. Because I don't love powerlifting like Sam. Something about the sport of powerlifting for you, Sam, drives you to want to get, you know.
I don't approach it like a lot of other competitive powerlifters do because I enjoy the power building training style. Whereas at least a lot of newbie powerlifting people, athletes I should say, they do SBD every session. And they do that like 3 times a week. And they don't do anything else. They just do SBD out of a combo rack all the time. And they might do different like variations of those, but they slack on their accessories. They don't have the best muscular development, the hypertrophic development like we talked about earlier. Ultimately, in the end, that's going to be their downfall. I feel like you need both. And most really like high-level successful bodybuilders know that and do that.
Right.
But a lot of these newbies who are teenagers that weigh, 170 pounds, max 180 pounds, and they're skinny, like they don't have the muscle mass to support it that much moving forward. They're getting better at squat, bench, and deadlift, but they're not actually getting stronger.
Right.
They're not building muscle. They're slacking on their accessories. You need the accessory and the quote unquote bodybuilding stuff in conjunction with it, I feel like, to truly progress and actually get stronger to be good long term in powerlifting.
Gotcha. And definitely that is your field of most expertise. I wouldn't make the best argument. I could counter argue with a different argument, but I don't have the experience or the study in powerlifting to really say that I disagree with that point of view. I do think that there is certain credentials that need to be given to specific muscle groups, especially muscle groups such as calves, forearms, and core. And the reason why is because calves create stability.
Yep.
The core, if you have a weak core, you will get injured in powerlifting. I'm not lying to you.
Yep.
You will injure yourself because eventually, once you reach a stage where you overload yourself, you will put yourself in a compromised position because you will not have the core stability to actually brace your weight. And then the last one is, and this is one of my weak areas, outside of the fact that I don't think calves will ever be a thing that is my defining feature, but my grip strength is actually very poor. So when I try to pick up anything that's above 315, it's harder, not because I might not have the power to go more with a hex bar, but actually because I can't hold on to the weight.
Yeah.
And that's a me problem, because I need to specially train my forearms so that I have better grip strength. Because I'll be honest, I don't want to be the guy that has to use straps in order to pick up a bar.
No.
If I can't do it naturally, then guess what? I can't do it.
Most bodybuilders that use straps, or I should say about powerlifters that use straps, all bodybuilders use straps for the most part, but most powerlifters that use straps,
If they don't, they should try it.
when they deadlift, it's really just because they don't want to fatigue their grip in training, and they don't want to like always completely wear and tear their grip every session, and they want to be able to get more out of the actual deadlift movement. Now, I don't do that. I don't ever use straps on deadlift. I will use straps on my accessories.
Bro, have you seen Sasquatch's hands? Hold out your hand, Sam. Hold up your hand close to mine for the camera. His hand is twice my hand size.
Anyway, I will use straps on rows, lat pull downs, rack pulls, RDLs, shrugs, any of my accessories, my deadlift pull accessories, RDL is kind of a pull / leg accessory.
Right. I love my lads.
I will use
Talking.
I will use straps for that, but yeah, those are some great goals for you, man, and I think we're gonna get them this next year.
Yeah, I'm going to put my nose down, man. I'm going to be serious. Like I said, I'm taking your spreadsheet. I'm going to turn it into actual Excel sheets because I have a really nice Mac at home that I can't use for anything other than business stuff. So,
nice.
And then I'm going to print those sheets off. I'm going to make the charts, print them off into a booklet, and I'm going to actually mark my exercises down.
Yeah.
And then when I'm done being a lazy couch potato, at some time, I'm going to actually log the workouts back in and put them in a workout algorithm because I saw that AI can actually create some pretty neat workout algorithms to see how much intensity, load, and things you're doing. So that'll be interesting. I want to play around with that, see what it looks like.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what about you, Sam? You've got some goals outside of
my first goal was to get through recovery without any setbacks.
We're praying for you.
Once I'm done with recovery, I actually am planning to probably go on a cut actually, and do some bodybuilding work for a while before I actually get back into. I mean, obviously, when I'm fully recovered and able to lift again, I'm not going to be able to go straight back into powerlifting anyway. So I will be doing some bodybuilding stuff for a while just because it's easier, and probably go into a cut and just try to lose some weight. Maybe we'll see what I can maintain in terms of muscle and strength, but that's my goal right now. Next meet, I don't really have another meet planned yet. I was kind of looking on the USPA website. So the same meet I did this year up in Elk River, Minnesota at the Gym 365, they already have it scheduled for April next year at the same gym, same place, same everything.
Oh, okay.
So if possibly April might be my next meet.
Gotcha. This guy always sneaky drops me. He's always like, "Oh, I didn't tell you about the meet that's coming up in 2 days. Oh, dude, I'm so sorry." Yeah.
No, I tell you well enough in advance. Man.
Well, so my wife would definitely take your defense. She'd be like, "Daniel doesn't even remember to go to the store 3 seconds after I tell him we're going on."
So
funny story for us.
But we'll see. We'll see how I'm able to get back into my regular powerlifting routine and how I'm feeling with certain weights and certain percentages and stuff like that. Because there's another one also in February, like late February, I think in Kansas or Iowa, that I was maybe looking at if I feel good enough for it. But we'll see. We'll see if I can start prep early enough for a meet in February. I don't know yet.
Yeah, it was. You're one of those guys to me that stands out above the crowd. Like there's all of us are like as humans one of a kind. But I always look up to those people who they stand out. And for you, we talked about this a little bit before our session the other day, and it's not easy to be the person that you've become because you are in a position where not only are you one of, if not the strongest powerful bound person in your pool of people, but you would definitely be recognized as one of the strongest people in the Midwest. And then as we go even bigger, not only have you been recognized on a national stage, but you've been invited and participated in world contests. That means regardless of the fact that you might be placed within thousands and thousands of people in the world, you are actually findable in a fairly small subsection of billions of people on our planet. That is super impressive, bro. Super impressive.
You put it that way, it sounds cool, but I don't know.
I know. You don't like to bask in the fact that you're like one in so many billions of people or whatever it might be.
No, it's cool, man. It's cool to think about sometimes. I'm really proud of the success I've had in powerlifting and in the personal training and fitness industry as a whole. But I mean, obviously now I have a setback. Right now, back then, I was squatting 660, deadlifting 711. Right now, I can't lift more than 10 pounds. So.
He's deadlifting 711. You hear that? Bring us the slushies, big boy.
But right now, I can't even lift more than 10 pounds. So it's just, it's all about perspective. It's all about not taking it for granted. And you know, I'm for
Praise God for what
sure.
we got.
Well, once I come back, I mean, I'm cherishing every moment I can when it comes to lifting because this sucks.
Yeah, when I was talking to you on a personal level, man, you kind of referred to yourself more as like the average farm boy, and it's like,
Not a farm boy, just average white man.
you're like average white dude. Like,
Yeah.
I can bring you some average white dudes. They're walking around with tattoos and string beans, man. You're definitely no average white dude.
Yeah. See, that's just how I see myself, though.
Yeah, and that's okay. I think that your humble
But I think that's
perspective
important.
of self.
Oh my
keeps you
gosh.
God.
He was shanked that field goal.
Oh man. Well, it looks like the other coach is happy though. Let's go, kick another one like that.
Jeez. 7-3, we're still winning, but man,
Yeah,
that last drive ended ugly, and that field goal was terrible. So anyway,
What'd you tell me? Defense wins championships. Let's go defense.
yeah, that's true. Anyway,
But yeah, it's good to see that you've got goals on the horizon, and yeah, so
I'm
far
not
your
done
recovery's-
powerlifting.
Yeah, so far your recovery's going good. We're praying for you. We keep asking for updates. We love hearing where you're at,
Yeah.
and like I said, totally relate and know multiple people who have been through big surgeries and stuff,
Yeah.
including like people with.
Like I said, I still got
autism,
goals to
too.
accomplish and records to break, and I'm not retiring from powerlifting. You know, I'm gonna get back into competing once I'm able to. I'm not gonna rush the recovery process, though. I'm not gonna rush coming back. I want to make sure I do it right, so I don't have any setbacks, so this doesn't happen again.
Right. And that's something that I've had to be careful with in my training. I have to remind myself, it's great that you have big goals for a guy who's starting where you started, but remember, if you injure yourself because your pride gets in the way of your passion, then guess what? Your passion is going to be gone when you can't any longer do it.
Right. Exactly.
And it's going to set you back in a way that maybe you can come back from it, maybe you give up. So that's always something to consider when I'm pushing that edge, because, you know, I know that when I'm over there loading my weight heavy or doing whatever I am, and I'm not caring about, you know, the form of my squat or how much tension it's putting on my knee when I deadlift or whatever it might be, how
Gotta listen to your
my
body,
shoulders
man.
affected in my bench, whatever it might be. You know, it could be the last time I do it. You know what I mean? And so you got to be careful.
Yeah.
You can't let your passion out when you're poised, man. You gotta be poised. You gotta be punctual.
Well, Daniel.
Oh,
Daniel.
It's been a pleasure talking with you today.
it always
Daniel.
is.
Yeah. Let's wrap it up, why don't we?
Hey,
All
Daniel.
right, TNT
Daniel.
faithful.
How does it feel to know that you're lifting more than him right now?
Kale wanted to know how it felt to know that I'm lifting more than Sam right now. So if I had to take the biggest indulgence, the biggest indulgence on it. So right now I can
Breathe it in.
I can deadlift more weight than the guy who held the Nebraska state record. It feels like this. Have you ever felt
Sam.
like a mouse who ran into the middle of a kitchen and stole the snack of the cat? That's what it would feel like right now. I like run out, grab something from his bowl, and the cat, it's gonna come for me, boy. Because, my 265 deadlift is nothing compared to 711, my
Hey,
friend.
hey Sam.
7-Eleven, always
Sam.
open.
Sam.
So, TNT faithful,
Daniel, pleasure.
Yeah,
Close
always.
us out.
TNT faithful, thank you for watching the TNT Boys podcast, listening to the TNT Boys podcast. Make sure you hit that subscribe, like button, download, share it with your friends. Thank you to Age and Life Media for all of their support, talking dirt, useless assumptions, and touching base. This has been the TNT Boy, Sam and Daniel. Peace out, bye.
Peace out, bye.